In Bautzen, in the east of Germany, these are words that go down well.
Im September schreiben wir in Sachsen, in Thüringen und in Brandenburg Geschichte.
These regions are the heartlands of the far-right AfD. Party chief Alice Weidel is greeted here like a star.
Wir schreiben die Zukunft für unser geliebtes Vaterland.
Since the 2015 refugee crisis, the AfD has been consistent in its nationalism and xenophobia and has won over many voters disappointed by Angela Merkel's immigration policy.
Pensions haven't gone up. But when millions arrived in 2015, they were given everything.
They receive money and everything, but they don't behave well.
We should deport them and close the borders.
In this part of former East Germany, over a third of the population votes AfD. A painful reality for the millions of refugees who, for a decade, have rebuilt their lives in Germany. Lara Urabi fled the war in Syria in 2014. Today she works at this school where half the children are from abroad. She did a series of menial jobs before this post as school assistant, although it doesn't match her qualifications.
We fought hard, but I've never taken state benefits. I've never spent a day at home. I pay my taxes. My 2 children went to high school, and now one of them is a student in international relations. And these AfD people can't accept me? Can't accept us? I find that so unfair.
Like her, 60% of immigrants who've been in this region since 2015 have found work, but all experience discrimination on a regular basis. Wisam Alaman and his wife Naja Alouche moved to Dresden in 2018. They got married here and are expecting their second child. Because she wears the hijab, Naja is more exposed to intolerance than her husband, so he's especially concerned for her by the rise of the far right.
I think afterwards it will be more difficult for foreigners to get jobs, especially for women who wear the veil and those who don't look like they're from here.
Of course, I'm often discriminated against when I leave the house in my neighborhood and go to certain places, like the Old Town. So, yes, I am worried, because if the AfD rises again in these elections, that will mean more discrimination for me, and I'll have to be more careful.
In 2023, 380 people were victims of far-right verbal and physical aggression in this region, a 20% increase compared to the previous year. A deleterious climate that worries the democratic parties. Green Party parliamentarian Kassem Taher Saleh was 10 when he arrived in Saxony as a refugee. He's concerned about the future of his adopted region.
Saxony has an enormous racism problem, but luckily it also has a lot of diversity and people who fight every day for democracy. Demographic change is real. The region has an aging population, so it needs immigration. Without these people, there'd be no future here.
We meet back up with Wisam. In Syria, he worked as a trained dentist. However, without proof of his qualifications, he now runs this homework club for immigrant children instead.
Mastering German is super important because it's their future. They're going to stay here and find their way in this country.
Other members of the Syrian community take turns to give lessons. But like Rajva, a trained psychologist, more and more of them are thinking of leaving the region.
Of course I'm frightened. Very frightened. Most immigrants are afraid of being deported or being attacked. Often they are worried because they don't know exactly what the party's policies are. But what is sure is that in Eastern Germany, the gap is getting wider between the Germans and people of immigrant backgrounds, and things are going to be more difficult for us than in West Germany.
The These state elections could be an historic turning point, especially as an Islamist terrorist attack in Solingen is likely to help the AfD. For the first time, with around 30% of the vote, the party could win the elections in Saxony and Thuringia.